Ambassador Adisha, you heard different perspectives. You recently wrote an article in the Atlantic Council lamenting that the international community's response to human rights violations is weak. Should they engage? How? If not, what other mechanisms would you suggest providing assistance to Afghanistan? Picking up on the discussion with
تشکر بسیار زیاد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. به نام آن که دل کاشانه اوست، نفس گرد متاع خانه اوست. نخست از همه از انستیتوت مطالعات استراتژیک افغانستان و دستاندرکاران این انستیتوت تشکری دارم و همچنان از انستیتوت مطالعات افغانستان و منطقه در کشور دوست، برادر و همزبان ما کشور تاجیکستان به خاطر ایجاد زمینه برگزاری کنفرانس امنیتی هرات در شهر زیبای دوشنبه. در این شهر ما خود را در خانه احساس میکنیم. با تصرف کوچک در شعر شاعر جوان و انقلابی ما نجیب بارور ما میخوایم صحبت خود آغاز کنیم. هر کجا مرز کشیدند شما پل بزنید، حرف هرات و دوشنبه و سر پل بزنید. دختران قفس افتاده کابل عزیز، گل از باغ خراسان به کاکل بزنید. So with this, I heard a lot that, there have been too much poetry in this discussion, but we can't help it. We came from the land of poetry and we have to start it with that. Yeah, but that doesn't count in my minutes. I think that's bonus. Since we are in Tajikistan, okay, you can't do that. I think on terms of the engagement, I think my answer will be yes. I think engagement, you're asking a diplomat, will we engage or not? And my answer is definitely we need to engage. Even not engagement is a kind of engagement. But certainly the job is engagement. But I will answer your question in I think under two headings. One is what the people of Afghanistan are engaging and how they are engaging, and what is the responsibility of international community and how they are engaging. In terms of the people of Afghanistan, we are engaging the Taliban. People are engaging the Taliban. They have been engaging them in the past. We are engaging the Taliban from the day one, from the streets of Kabul, when our women got out and started protesting for their basic rights. We are engaging the Taliban in the universities, we are engaging them in the media, but we are also engaging them in the mountains of Hindu Kush. So I think all kinds of engagements are there, and that engagement continues. But when it comes to the international community, and now from where I stand, and that is Geneva, the engagement with the Taliban has been very clearly defined in UN Security Council resolution, which renewed the mandate of UNAMA, Resolution 2020, March of this year. But there are 4 areas of interconnected engagement with Taliban. I think sometimes when we talk about engagement, people think that engagement is only humanitarian. Of course, Afghanistan is a dire humanitarian and human rights situation, and international community has a responsibility to engage. But for that humanitarian engagement and human rights crisis engagement, there is always some principles, and that principles of independence, impartiality, and unimpeded access to the vulnerable communities. So if there's engagement, of course, we have to be really careful of all these 3 principles of humanitarian engagement. We added one more principle to this. I know there is always disagreement, that in 21st century, humanitarian engagement cannot be devoid or isolated from basic human rights and gender participation. So we are advocating for this very clearly in Geneva, that whatever international humanitarian engagement is in Afghanistan, it has to be gender sensitive and it has to take care of the basics of the human rights. Of course, not conditionality, because this is a different thing. On the areas of human rights, I think that has been the most robust area of engagement, which is, again, I'm talking about these 4 areas in the Security Council resolution, which is human rights. But then a third and very important one is political process, which the resolution is very clear about it, and political dialogue for creation of quote-unquote inclusive or representative state in Afghanistan. So on the human rights, where I come from Geneva, I think the engagement has so far been robust. Of course, not to the expectation of the civil society and especially women of Afghanistan, because we are asking for more. But I don't want to repeat what Ambassador Nicholson said about a very strong special rapporteur, which we call it Special Rapporteur Plus Plus, because it has a mandate of documentation, it has a mandate of forensic, and it has also a mandate of monitoring. Is it enough? Certainly not, because what's happening in Afghanistan right now is very clear violation of international humanitarian law, and these crimes amount to crimes against humanity. In one hand, what happened in Spin Boldak, in Nangarhar recently, this killing of prisoners of war in Panjshir, in Takhar, and recently in Daikundi and places, forced displacement of people in the north. I think these are all very clear-cut violations of human rights, which should be looked at from an independent monitoring mechanism. And this is what the women of Afghanistan, who are very strongly presented in Geneva and also in Brussels, pushing for, international organizations are pushing for, and some states, and I think we are going to reach there, either a fact-finding mission or a commission of inquiry or something like this. I think there is that desire, but I think it's slowly escalating toward that. But still the engagement is with the special rapporteur on the situation of Afghanistan. And why that's very important, I wanted to make this sure, that the question of special rapporteur is not only, or moving toward an independent investigative mechanism, is not only for a PR stand. I think it's very important for protection, but as well as from prevention of further atrocities. Because if there is a mechanism of accountability, unlike some beliefs that Taliban are impervious to pressure, I think they are not. Maybe as a terrorist insurgent group, they were impervious to sort of international pressure, but at this stage, as de facto authority, they are very well understand and they can feel the heat of international pressure, especially when it comes from a principled international approach. And we see some of their recent retweets or tweets or responding to tweets, which really opens their disgusting face. So I think that's the other one. So on the last one, and that is the situation on the dialogue, where unfortunately either UNAMA does not have now the latitude, the bandwidth to do it, because I know they are struggling. I wish they were here to respond to this question, UNAMA itself. But what we see from where we see it, that they are basically now confining to this area. I mean, area of human rights is also, no one, what I heard is no one has access to the place of detention right now in Afghanistan, which is part of, monitoring of the situation. So we have to move to the third element of UN Security Council resolution, and that is engagement with Afghanistan civil society, with Afghanistan's women movement, and with the political process. And on this, I think attempts are going on, and we are, making some headway toward this. So my final point is that engagement should not be one-sided. Engagement should have, I hate to say carrot and sticks. It has to be two ways. In one way, you have to engage, but on the other way, we have to be very cognizant of the UN Council, Security Council sanctions. These sanctions have to be applied smartly, but in a very dynamic way. And on this, I think it will add to robustness of international engagement, because especially from the Afghan civil society side, this engagement is seen, that you saw a lot of these, doubts and questions, somehow one-sided, because nobody sees the other side. But I saw the other side of, not extending the travel bans. And there is many mechanisms, maybe in the question and answer, I'll discuss that. What are some of the ways that beside, stakes, which including the Afghanistan Fund in Geneva, which, we are engaged with, we can also use the stakes carrot. Thank you very much.